Welcome to Blender Days, a podcast about media. I'm Jacanna.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we're talking about Paddington 2, released in 2017.
Yeah, and then we first saw the first Paddington in 2017. We watched that movie way late.
We did watch it a couple years late and a couple years ago. I think we only watched the first Paddington twice.
I think I've only seen it once.
I feel like I've seen it almost twice because my sister would play it a lot.
Yeah, your sister liked it, and honestly, it's a way better movie than it has any right to be.
But today we're talking about Paddington 2, which we both saw for the first time yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday, and it may be better than the original.
Yeah, it didn't just... sometimes the sequel lives up to the original, but Paddington 2 was better than the original.
Yeah,
which is very rare.
They took everything that was good about the first one and then just improved upon it.
Yeah. Anyway, something we didn't do last time that I would like to address is just the speed draw underneath. I'm the artist, and I'll be drawing. And I'm doing Paddington, but in the style of classic Winnie the Pooh illustrations.
And that's on the YouTube channel. If you're just listening to this audio-wise, you're not going to see that.
But if you're interested in not watching the speed draw and you'd still like to see the image I create, you can check out our Instagram.
Yes, it's what is it, at Blender Days Podcast, I believe.
At Blender Days Podcast is our Instagram, and I post little behind the scene pictures and the finished artwork that I create for
you didn't take a behind the scenes picture.
I haven't taken a behind the scenes picture. That's not to say that I'm not going to.
All right. So you want to give a rundown, give a synopsis on the movie, what the movie was about?
Yeah. So we start out and Paddington is living his best life in England with the Browns, making his neighborhood a better place and all around making every person's life better. Even the people who don't like him, he's not really making their life worse. By the way, there's only one person who doesn't like Paddington.
Yeah.
He's terribly likable. So he's going around helping people, and then we get to the main plot of the story, which is he's trying to find a birthday gift for his great aunt Lucy. Was it Lucy?
I believe it's his aunt Lucy, and it's her 100th birthday.
Right, so very important for talking bears.
Yeah, not sure if that's a bear years or human years. They do specify that they're different, but they don't really tell you how.
Yeah, that's true. They don't really address that. Anyway, so he's trying to find
the perfect gift for his aunt.
And he stumbles upon this beautiful pop-up book of London because she really wanted to go to London. And he wants to save up for this book, and he starts working odd jobs. They're not really working out for him because he's a very small talking bear with maybe the intelligence of a 7 to 12-year-old.
Well, he's either a genius or an idiot.
Well,
but
he's a genius for a bear.
I think he's just the straight up definition of innocent. So he appears to be stupid, but he's definitely not.
Well, yeah, but also the way he's treated, he's not treated like a child.
No.
He is an adult gentleman.
I mean,
he's very polite, but he's treated like if you were taking care of a family member who maybe had some mental disabilities. But he's not treated like a child, nor is he's not treated like a capable adult.
Keep going with how the movie give the synopsis of the rundown.
And then so
he's got odd jobs around town.
So he's got odd jobs,
kind of a klutz.
And then he discovers through being Paddington that his fur is awesome at cleaning windows, and he just kind of starts up his own little window cleaning business, and he's cleaning all the windows, and you see how this improves everyone's life.
Yeah, in his neighborhood there's a shut-in kind of recluse. He was an Air Force captain or something.
Right, and he's living in his gloom. That's the prettiest. That's one of my favorite scenes. Is Paddington asks him if he wants his window washed, and he's already gotten a lot of business. He's already good at washing windows at this point. And the guy's like, "No, I like living in my own misery."
Yeah, in his sadness.
He says that in a much nicer way, but that's pretty much what he says. But Paddington's like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it for free. I'm gonna wash this guy's windows for free. He's like the only person on the block I haven't done.
I don't even think he puts that much thought into it. I think Paddington's just like, well, I'll just do it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
because he is just the definition of nice.
So you see Paddington like washing the windows from the outside, and then it cuts to the man inside sitting in like a gloomy room, and all the windows definitely have a thick film over them, so that they're open, like there's no shades or curtains pulled, but it's very dreary in there, and he's just sitting in a chair by himself reading the paper. And as he's doing this, then you start to see light come in as Paddington outside is washing the window. And the whole time it stays from an angle of this man, like you're looking in on this man in his living room. It doesn't cut back to Paddington. You can just kind of see him outside the window. And it's a very pretty, well done scene. It's shot very, very well.
I mean, this entire movie is shot like an art piece.
I know, but there's a couple scenes in particular that really shine through. And I think this is one of them. And, you know, like, I think in some stories, the guy might have been upset that he did it without his permission anyways. But he was just he was actually happy.
He definitely goes, like, to the window to, like, yell at Paddington. But then he sees the lady.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The newsstand lady, which is one of my favorite parts of the story, is their story is just running in the background the whole time.
Yes.
You might see this scene and think nothing of it, but then they touch back on the progression of the relationship 3 or 4 times, and it's a weird side story that's not addressed almost at all. It is addressed at the very end.
In any other movie, you would completely ignore this backstory. It would be there, but you would not see it. This movie, though, like every backstory has purpose.
Well, this movie, as you like in the beginning of the movie, as I was saying, when he's like going around town and everyone's his friend, and every single scene has payoff. It's not just to show that Paddington is a good character. No, we're going to come back to that. That everything has foreshadowing and payoff.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie, everything's going to be completely addressed. I mean, this is like the neatest package a movie ever could be. There is no loose ends.
But so he's working as a window cleaner, and he does a few other odd jobs to buy this book for his aunt.
And he keeps checking in on the book as he's raising money.
And the guy who owns the store is also Paddington's friend. He just has the book set aside, so he is saving it for Paddington. Like, nobody else can buy the book.
The book is stolen on one of the evenings where Paddington has stopped by the store to look in on it and just kind of check up on, like, oh, that's what I'm working for. Like a reminder of what all his efforts going towards.
Yeah.
And there happens to be a criminal who has broken into the store
I think
and stolen the book.
When that happens, it's a little later at night. He's just finished cleaning windows, and he's walking home. He has to walk by the store, and that's when he sees the criminal go in.
Yeah, I don't think every night he had to walk by the store.
I think he walked by it because he wanted to, but like he saw the criminal go in, and
he's unfairly framed and then arrested because earlier on, another thing that already has payoff is one of his odd jobs that he was bad at was a barber, and he butchered a judge's hair.
Oh,
and judge ends up being his judge for this case of grand theft, and he's obviously he's a little biased because he's got a botched hair job.
Well, but the thing that shuts the case down is the washed up failed actor who said he saw Paddington but didn't see the criminal.
Right. And this guy's already like not very happy in his life or circumstance, and Paddington has insulted him
without meaning to. He would not do it on purpose.
But he's pointed out the things in his life that have gone wrong, and he's maybe a little bit tender about.
Yeah.
And he's not taken very kindly to that. But so he's arrested, he's thrown in jail, and then that's probably my favorite arc of the movie.
Well, that's like that is the arc of the movie, is Paddington is arrested and put in jail.
Yeah, but his whole time in the jail is like my favorite time in the movie.
Yeah, I think was the first thing he does. He's given a job at the prison, and it is to do the laundry, and he manages to put a red sock in with all of the prisoners' clothing.
And they all have pink jumpsuits, and they're old looking jail, like they're not orange jumpsuits.
No, black and white
classic stripes. Yeah. So all the prisoners, because apparently they were all doing all of their laundry that day. No one was wearing any clothes, and they were all in that one load and they were all pink. And then the next scene's pretty much him in the cafeteria, and he's trying to make friends. He's criticizing the poor food, and then someone makes a bet with him that they'll forgive him for the whole pink fiasco if he can get the menu changed.
Yeah, and then he goes up to the cook guy there, Knuckles, who is just known throughout the prison as the meanest guy in the whole, like, you don't mess with the cook.
Yeah, and he has saved a marmalade sandwich under his hat.
He always has a marmalade sandwich under his hat. He had one in the laundry room. I don't know how he got a second one.
No, that was the same one. He doesn't eat it. He goes to eat it in the laundry room. He doesn't eat it. It's the same one.
Oh, I thought he ate it.
No, he's saving that marmalade sandwich. That's why they showed it, I think,
yeah.
in the laundry room. So, yeah, he's got a marmalade sandwich under his hat, which if you've watched the first movie, you know he always has a marmalade sandwich under his hat. That's kind of Paddington's thing. He's a gentleman, he's polite, and he loves marmalade.
He talks to Knuckles, and Knuckles is about to knock his socks off.
And the sandwich accidentally falls into his face.
Yeah, it gets, like, thrown right into his mouth.
Mm-hmm. And then the magic of marmalade touches Knuckles' heart.
Yeah, and he's very much like, all right, you know what? Nobody messes with this bear now.
Yeah, he puts the bear under his protection, like, in a very literal sense. He announces that to the whole cafeteria of inmates.
Yeah, but it goes on, and Paddington teaches him to, like, make marmalade, and they become friends while they're doing it. Like, at first Knuckles is like, just make the marmalade, like, just do it. But, like, he learns a lesson, and they become friends, and they're like making marmalade together, make a bunch of sandwiches.
The whole time Paddington is quoting Aunt Lucy and her beyond bear year wisdom.
Yes, a very wise bear.
What was the one that he said the most? If you're polite, everything will turn out right.
Yeah.
Which should be taught to every toddler ever.
Yeah.
What a good thing. They change the menu. They put marmalade on. Breakfast comes. The entire inmate population is served marmalade sandwiches for breakfast,
and they love it. It's the best thing that's ever happened. But like they want more. They're like, what else can you make? And Paddington only knows how to make marmalade, and Knuckles is not a cook. I don't know how he got the job of chef, but he is not a cook.
He remains head chef the entire time, and it doesn't seem like he knows how to cook anything that he wasn't taught by someone else at the prison how to cook it.
Yeah, and then it's like the other prisoners, they start volunteering recipes, and
in a very cute way, like homemade recipes from like loved ones, like my mom taught me how to do this, or my dad showed me that, or my aunt, or say family recipes.
Yeah, and the whole prison, like the whole cafeteria in the prison, becomes a bakery, all thanks to this marmalade sandwich that Paddington had.
Because the only recipes they could remember were desserts.
It was a lot of. There was no like dinners. At least not that I saw. I'm sure somebody in there knew how to make a dinner, but.
But it ends up feeling very much like a factory bakery scene, like from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory almost. Like when you see what was that, the rich girl from overseas, and like there's a nut factory.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Was that Violet, or was Violet the other one?
Violet's the blonde. I think maybe American, maybe England, but she's certainly not from like Germany. It's the one from Germany.
I'll be honest, I didn't like
not Germany. That's
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I don't remember. Anyways, it gives the feeling of not a prison anymore, especially with them in their pink and striped uniforms. It feels like a bakery factory.
I mean, when you're first introduced to it's very much a prison. Like, it's like kill or be killed, kind of like that hard environment that movies try to portray prisons. And it very quickly becomes everybody's friends now. Paddington is great.
Marmalade saved the day.
Yeah.
So that's like going on, and then we also have a plot simultaneously of the Brown family trying their hardest in each their own way to clear Paddington's name, because they're just so sure that it wasn't him. They don't have any clear evidence that it wasn't him, but like, come on, you live with the guy, he didn't do
even
this.
The store owner, the guy whose book got stolen, is like, Paddington didn't do this. This is not like, there's no way.
So they're running around trying to clear his name, and that's their own plot.
No, when they figure out that there's something, like there's a reason the book was, it wasn't just a pop-up book.
That's right. They do discover that
It was, yeah, it's a treasure map to the author of the book's like treasure, because she was like an entertainer, like performer.
Yeah, she was in the circus and she was very well renowned for being beautiful and talented. And she did several acts, but her greatest act was the trapeze. I don't know,
Yeah, she was an acrobat.
She was a ribbon dancer is how they depict it.
Yeah, but they describe her as an
don't.
acrobat.
Yeah, and then she's killed, which you later find out she's murdered by the grandfather of the failed actor, who, big surprise, is the person who stole the book because his grandfather wanted her riches, but she had hid them, and the clues were all in the pop-up book that she had made.
Yeah, so the actor is the only one. He's the bad guy. He's the one that knows.
Anyways, then the Browns miss one of, what are those called?
Visitation Day.
Yeah, so the Browns miss a visitation day
because they're trying to solve Paddington's case.
But Paddington feels like they had forgotten about him.
Because everybody was like, they're going to forget about you. Like, that's just what happens. You go to jail and they move on. They miss a visitation day. And the day before the visitation day, Knuckles and a couple other prisoners try to tell Paddington, like, hey, we're going to escape. Are you in? Like, we need a fourth guy. And he goes, no. The Browns are going to help me. They're going to save me. But they miss the day. He feels like he's been abandoned and he needs to clear his name. So he goes to the other prisoners because they say they're going to help, and they end up breaking out of prison.
Which, by the way, these guys had no chance of breaking out of prison if they didn't have Paddington, because he's just the right size for their plan, and literally no one else on their team would have worked.
Yeah, he was very much a key character.
So they break out of prison. Paddington finds out as they're about to board a plane to escape that they're not going to try to clear his name. They're just going to try to leave the country and start a marmalade business.
Yeah.
Which he's not particularly thrilled about. He really wants to clear his name. He wants to go back to his normal life. And he wants to get his Aunt Lucy a present.
He wants to get the book for her still. He would like to give her the book. But, so they leave him. They go their separate ways. He goes back into town. He calls the Browns. That's like right around the time the Browns have figured out, oh, it's the actor guy. Like, he's not.
And they also figured out the last landmark where the last clue is.
Yeah, it's not even a landmark. It's the lady's piano,
right?
Like instrument thing.
So they ask Paddington to meet him, and he's able to meet them because he's made great friends by helping the garbage truck man study for his test.
Yes.
So the garbage truck man like just bulldozes his way through town with Paddington to get in there on time. They get on the train where the circus is packed up, but the organ, the piano, which is the final piece, which is where all the treasure is hidden. They're on the train to get to it.
Yeah.
The bad guy's there. The Browns show up a little late, but don't worry. That steam engine stuff that happened in the beginning of the movie has got payoff now.
That's right. The son of the Browns.
Yeah.
He's really into steam engines, but he's trying to be a cool guy now. But that pays off because he likes steam engines so much. They hijack a train. They steal a train.
And there's like a whole train chase scene. The bad guy loses, not killed, just loses.
No, that's another thing, is the Mr. Brown is feeling very like older now.
Oh yeah, he's going through a bit like a mini midlife crisis.
Yeah, but it ends with him like having like a perfect throw and like feeling good about himself
and the
again.
whole like split thing because he was doing, I don't know, Pilates or yoga or something in the beginning. It's just making sure that every single plot point had payoff here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, everything ends up turning up Paddington. Like, they take out the bad guy.
You know, it's very similar to Woo. I doubt many of our listeners, if any of them, have watched Extraordinary Attorney Woo on Netflix.
Oh, fantastic show.
It's a great show. It deals with some fairly heavy topics, and it is a show about lawyers and South Korean law. And yet somehow it is such a cheery, uplifting show, and everything turns out woo. Everything's always turning out woo. Yes.
In this movie, it ends up, there's a part when they're on the train and they're trying to stop him, but Paddington is put in the back of the train and it is set loose, and then it gets derailed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he sinks down to the bottom of the river, but his mother figure,
foster mother,
Mrs. Brown, is training to swim the
English Channel.
Yeah, from England to France. So she dives in after him. Can't get him out because the door is locked. But guess what? His prison buddies show back up.
Oh yeah, right in the nick of time, and they break him out of there just like they broke him out of prison.
You're good. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
But they break him out, yeah, because they broke him out of prison, and they swim down underwater, and they bust open the train door, and Paddington is saved. When everything seems like, oh no, he is saved, because this is only a happy movie.
And then you see him in bed. It's been 3 days. He finally wakes up, and he's happy his name has been cleared, but he's upset because he still didn't get his Aunt Lucy anything for her birthday. And guess what? Today is her birthday. And he doesn't even have time to send her anything.
No, the book's been put in evidence, so they don't even have access to it.
But lucky for Paddington, he is so likable, and his family is so great, and the community he's built around himself, because it really wasn't a community until Paddington came around.
No.
They have pitched in and pulled together to fly Aunt Lucy out for a visit, so she not only can see England in a pop-up book, but
she gets to see London
and with
the way
Paddington.
Paddington wanted it originally.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the ending of the movie. They don't need to wrap anything else up because everything else has already come
it
full
gives you like
circle.
a quick down of everybody's like those.
But that's like in the credits.
Yeah.
It's not really part of the movie. It's like an epilogue in
and
the credits.
Even the bad guy, in a way, gets what he wants because he is now in prison, but he's turned it into like a big musical show because all he wants to do is be a star again. He just...
Yeah. It's like Prison the Broadway. I would go watch it myself. But... All right, so that's like a synopsis on the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we probably went a little further than we needed to, but I mean, it's just such a good movie. Like,
it is oddly charming. You might think, if you'd never watched it, if you're not a fan of the franchise, and you've only listened to our description, that it would be cheesy, that it would be too cliche. But somehow it's not. It's got a lot of really well-written scenes, really great cinematography, and I mean, you have to know you're watching it the whole time. It's a children's movie. It feels like a children's book.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's based on the children's book Paddington.
It is.
But it's like the most accurate to being based on a children's book that I've ever seen. Like,
right. They don't feel the need to address every little thing that doesn't make sense. Like, there's a talking bear in the middle of London, and everyone's real chill with it. No one's like, yo, that's a talking bear. What the hell is up with that?
That was one of my favorite things in the first movies. When Paddington first arrives in London and he's first introduced to other people, it's just like, oh, bear.
Yeah.
Well, what's up?
But it's very charming. It's not cheesy, and it's not cliche. Or maybe it is cliche, but in the way that things should be.
I mean, I'm sure the way we described it, people are like, it's just, people go, oh, it's a big cheese movie. You got to watch it. It's like, this is something you have to see.
It's a little more understated than maybe like we had described it. Things are subtle. Like, I keep saying that everything had a payoff, but you wouldn't have known that when you first watch it. It's not like they were putting a whole bunch of red flags in the beginning, being like, this is foreshadowing, pay attention. It was just charming little quirks to build out the character of Paddington in case you hadn't seen the first movie.
I mean, something you definitely would have missed if you're not like, you just watch it like a regular movie is when Paddington first leaves the house in the beginning of the film, he gives the lady in a bike like a sandwich or something. He gives her something and she's, having a good day. They do a scene later where they kind of redo everything Paddington would normally do. The lady is very rude and upset because she doesn't have her breakfast because Paddington wasn't there to give her breakfast.
Right, yeah, and the guy gets locked out of his house, and...
It's a scene that you, like, if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't really care for. You wouldn't care. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think he affects this neighborhood so much.
It not only does everything have a payoff, like every little thing that they introduce in the beginning of the movie, not only does it have a payoff at the end, but it has like a logical reason for it in the beginning. Like, the mother is an illustrator and she's definitely clinically depressed. It doesn't say that, but it's obvious. And she's training to swim the channel because she wants adventure in her own life instead of just drawing it. That pays off at the end when she saves Paddington's life and swims down to him in the river and is able to hold her breath for a very long time and is a very strong swimmer. But the logical reason wasn't we have to make her a good swimmer so that she can save him. It was she wanted something else with her life, and so she has this goal, and then it helps her later on.
Yeah, everybody had their own story.
Right, their own reason.
And it was just all going on around Paddington.
Yeah.
He was the catalyst for the stories.
He's the red thread that strung together all these side stories. It was like a movie of side stories.
Yeah.
With Paddington being the through thread.
I will say, like, the bad guy actor, which I did not know, was played by Hugh Laurie.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, well, if you wait, I will tell you. Are you familiar with the show House?
Is that doctors or interior design?
Doctors. It's about a very grumpy doctor named House.
I think I've watched 1 or 2 episodes of House.
Yeah, he's the grumpy doctor.
Yeah, he's the know-it-all. Everyone thinks he's wrong every time, even though he's right every time.
Yeah, that's the guy who plays the main bad guy. That, like, whimsical, who is definitely insane. Because he has, like, multiple personalities.
They break into his attic at one point and see, like, he's got this, like, weird theater collection room.
It's like a wardrobe room.
And, like, the dad, who's definitely the most normal and put together character out of everyone we meet, even he's like, oh, he's a weirdo. Like this is
yeah,
maybe I don't want to be alone with this guy.
This guy who definitely mentally unstable.
Yeah, honestly, like you said earlier, how he even gets his own happy ending. Probably the best thing for him would to be put behind bars and kept safe from himself and others.
Well, yeah, he even makes the joke though that he has a captive audience, which all he wants. He just wants an audience. The man just wants to perform.
A lot of phone booths in this movie. I don't know if those are still popular in England.
I don't think so. This, like, the Paddington universe.
It's based off of the books, though.
Probably.
And they were probably more.
In the time period,
yeah.
I don't know. The Paddington universe is definitely, like, close to our universe, but, like, just weird enough. Like, it's super strange, but also, like, it's normal. Like, it's completely normal.
I mean, the only weird thing about the Paddington universe is the fact that Paddington is a talking bear, and he's not the only one. Like, there's been a couple talking bears.
There's at least 3 that you know of, which is his aunt and uncle, and his uncle is dead, I believe.
Yeah, his uncle is dead. His aunt is in a home for retired bears, which
is she in a home for retired bears? I think she's just in a regular nursing home.
No, I thought it was for retired bears.
We'd have to watch the first one again. They don't really mention exactly where she is. She's just in a nursing home.
I mean, it's definitely not out of the norm to have talking bears, at the very least.
It seems to have some sort of connection to marmalade, though.
Yeah, marmalade is just so delicious and perfect that it gives bears the intelligence of at least small children.
No, it
to
gives
maybe
them,
young
like,
adolescents.
full human intelligence, because Aunt Lucy is the wisest bear ever.
That's right, but, like, we were also discussing maybe that Paddington, even though he's probably pretty old, is not that old for, like, bears.
I think in human years, Paddington is probably around 10, but bears don't live as long as humans, so he would be older.
Yeah, but I think talking bears live longer than humans.
Aunt
Lucy's
know.
100 and
I don't think they
doing
would
just fine
because they specify bear years. I don't think they would specify bear years if they aged similar to us.
I don't think they age similar, but I think they kind of age both faster and shorter than us. It's like how Grogu's 50, but he's still a baby. Like, I think Paddington is still in the youth of, like, he's still kind of childish.
Well, he's definitely in the youth of bears.
Yeah, I think he's in the youth of bears, but he's definitely older than a human child.
I don't know that he is, though.
I think he is.
I don't think they age that slowly. I think they age relatively similar to humans or faster. I mean, what's the average age of a, like, lifespan of a bear? Nothing. I was not ready to look up.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I'm just gonna guess because I might as well. Average lifespan of what kind of bear are you looking up?
I think they're not brown bears, but they're very similar to brown bears. So I'll look up average life of a brown bear.
Okay, I mean, I would guess that it's like 20 years in the wild, maybe longer in captivity.
The average life expectancy of a brown bear is 20 to 25 years. Occasionally they do live longer, like 35 years.
All right, look up how old Paddington was supposed to be.
So it looks like in Paddington, he is 8 years old. And in Paddington 2, he is 12 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's just so polite. Also, I don't know. They like just let him do whatever he wants. I figured he was older.
Well, because he's a bear, so like... Also, this world is not like... Let's not pretend it's normal.
It's still potentially dangerous.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. This world is definitely like mystical in some way.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
So yeah, he is 12. I don't know how old he is in bear years, but...
Oh, at the end of the movie, you see Paddington waking up in his attic room, and it is what all of my childhood dreams is made of. It's the most charming, perfect little room, but it's not overcrowded with tchotchkes and clutter. By the way, I started using tchotchkes because I found out it's a synonym for knickknacks, and I can't believe I didn't know that until now. I'm quite well into my grown years. It's a much better synonym, though, in my opinion. It just sounds better. It's more fun. Tchotchkes, knickknacks. I don't know. Knickknacks sounds so elderly.
So I don't think bear years matter at all. I think Aunt Lucy might actually just be 100 years old, and that's incredible for a bear.
That's incredible for anyone, really.
But there is a Paddington like cartoon TV show.
Oh yeah.
And I guess right. Aunt Lucy appears almost at the end of every episode reading the letters from Paddington.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Because he writes her letters once a week, probably.
I mean, he writes them like diary entries, honestly, like as often as he feels is necessary.
He genuinely cares about everybody he meets, so like he will do anything to keep in touch with his aunt. Oh, by the way, the 3 prisoners that escaped, they just were pardoned and set free. Like the prison was like, they're good.
It didn't even say why they were in prison.
No, could have been murder. Like it did not tell you.
But they got pardoned because they were good friends with Paddington, and Paddington's such a good person.
He reformed the entire prison. Like they probably could have let everybody out.
That's true. So much so that like the guards were like so much more at ease by the time Paddington left.
Oh, they were like helping in the restaurant that it became.
It was like a little cafe, very charming, would eat there.
Get arrested and go to this jail. It was really like just a good movie, made well,
written well, acted well. All the sets, the scenes, the backgrounds, their choice on clothing and wardrobe, all hands down great job on every aspect of it.
And it felt like the most perfect version of London, like
but not fake. Like people still had their problems, they still had flaws. But
it was like, I don't know, it didn't...
But they were mundane problems. They weren't like, we need Batman here or something.
Yeah, it wasn't like one of those movies. But it I don't know, just very interesting.
Very, very fun, very charming.
Very storybook. You know what it is? It's like from the perspective of a child.
You mean like how Ghibli movies feel like memories and not like a solid story, but they work so well because that's how memories work, is they're fluid and you save the best and the worst parts of life, and that's how you remember them.
Ghibli movies are like memories of a dream is what those are.
Yeah, they're kind of washed out, but
and
familiar.
Paddington is a movie that is set from the point of view of Paddington, who is a very innocent character.
Would definitely recommend to watch with like if you're a toddler parent. Like this is a great movie for toddlers and for you to watch with your toddler because you're not gonna want to shoot your brains out.
This movie
because I mean I've watched a lot of children's television and it's not great.
No, and it's really just good enough to watch if you're any age. It's a good movie.
I will say that we watched this movie under the recommendation of the immense weight of immeasurable talent.
God, what was it? It's the unbearable weight of massive talent. The Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, which we both love.
Yeah, we actually the first episode we did of this was supposed to be about that movie, but the recording got ruined.
Fantastic movie, and we ended up watching Paddington 2 because the movie hyped it up so much.
Yeah, like, it took us forever to watch the first Paddington, and then it took us even longer to watch the second one, even though we both really liked the first one and should have just watched it earlier.
Because we didn't have a kid that was the right age for it when these movies...
That's not an excuse. We should have watched it. We really liked the first one.
Yeah, we should have, but I think that's why we didn't.
I just think we didn't watch it because we didn't watch it. I mean, I just think it just got pushed back. It was never important. I mean, that's really all I can say about it.
I liked how the mother, we didn't talk about it too much in our synopsis, but the mother's really like the crime fighting hero of the side story of the Browns trying to clear Paddington's name. Even though she is well into her midlife, like she's not young.
She's got to be in her like 40s.
Yeah, she's not depicted as a young woman.
No.
And she's definitely depressed, and she's still the hero of the story.
I don't know she's kind of depressed, but she's definitely looking for adventure.
I think she is depressed. I mean, that can manifest in a lot of ways.
She is 42 in Paddington 2.
Yeah, but she's depicted as like, you know, the person who is really going to do anything to solve this case. It's an interesting choice on the hero. They could have made it the son or the daughter or a younger protagonist, but it wasn't. It was the mom, which was nice to see. And she did a good job, and like it was as realistic as any of the movie was.
Yeah, which was not. I mean, yeah, it ends on a good note. Everybody kind of gets what they want, and like like if you're down, it's a really feel good movie. There's no like, oh no, like super like down like.
Yeah, there's not really heavy downs for the highs that the ups are.
Yeah, there's like a few moments where you're like, oh, that's pretty sad, but then it's very quickly turned around. And it's mostly because of Paddington's faith in humanity.
Yeah, for not being a human, he has tremendous faith in humanity.
More than he should.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to highlight about this movie. The storybook, the pop-up book, is unbelievably beautiful.
For a movie prop, very well made. Like, I don't think this book actually exists besides the prop.
You could definitely make it. I mean, given enough time, talent, and resources. It's not depicted in the movie in a way that's like you need movie magic to make it work. Like it could be a real
this is definitely
book.
like it's a physical prop that was made. I don't know if they sell it or if it actually exists, but
it's beautiful. And the way that they display it in the movie and then they get transported into the pages of the pop-up book as Paddington is trying to picture his Aunt Lucy reading through it is just so
that was a whole scene.
Beautiful.
It was a whole scene that felt like completely unrealistic, but it felt so real. Like it was just,
I mean, I think it's why in the early days of film they wanted film to be the most beautiful version of reality depicted for all to see. It's charming, it's beautiful, it's artistic, it's meaningful.
I think it is, really what film is supposed to be, which is entertaining.
Yeah.
It is just entertaining. I mean, film doesn't have to really make you like, think. Film can just be entertaining, because Paddington did not make me think. But it was very entertaining.
Well, that's one of the best things about Paddington is it didn't make you think. You felt smart for being able to make a callback from 10 minutes ago.
I think this movie would only get bad reviews from people who are like
cynical.
They're thinking too much, I think. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is he talking about? Because he is. And that doesn't matter. That's not the point of the film.
No, it's not the point of Paddington, like as a bear or a person.
Overthink it, and the way we described it, it doesn't sound like a great movie. It sounds completely ridiculous and childish.
There's a lot of great movies, though, that when put on paper or described, fall flat from what they actually are. Because media is more than the sum of its parts. It's not just the sound or the actors or the visuals. It's all of them put together and then sewn in a way that entertains you in one way or another.
So what? All right, I'm gonna say this. This was a movie made for children, and this is by far the least funny episode of this podcast we'll ever film, because it was just so touching and so genuine. It's hard to be like,
I can't poke fun at when I don't actually think there's anything to poke fun at.
No, it was made exactly how it was supposed to be. Maybe it wasn't a perfect film, but it was made exactly how this movie was supposed to be.
The only criticism I could possibly think of is that the soundtrack didn't stand out to me at all. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It might have been made to blend into the background, but it didn't stand out to me. I mean, I can think of a lot of movies that I love, and I love their soundtracks.
Yeah, it didn't really have like a rockin' soundtrack, but
No, I mean, it doesn't always have to be like a rocking soundtrack
it
with
was
like hits, but
it was no Spider-Verse.
oh yeah, I love the Spider-Verse soundtrack. But I also really like the soundtrack to Howl's Moving Castle, which is all more or less classical music. It doesn't have to be What's Up Danger to be a great soundtrack.
No, I mean, it's like, but that movie didn't need a good soundtrack to be good.
But I mean, I can't even like thinking about it, I watched it yesterday. I can't really recall what the sound was. I know there was background music, definitely, hands down. But it was so blended that it didn't stand out.
It wasn't a movie like Spider-Verse, which really benefited from its soundtrack, and it was like almost the sound. It was made for the soundtrack. The whole movie was.
Spider-Man is a weird conundrum because it seems like a fevered passion dream of one particular person, but it was actually directed by like 7 different people and switched hands so many times.
But Paddington also, it wasn't like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings with these big orchestra bands with these epic music, and like you can hear the Lord of the Rings, like the main theme, and you know immediately, and you're taken immediately. But that's not the kind of movie Paddington is.
No, which is maybe why it took us so long to get around to watching it, or why it's so underrated. Is it's not a movie with big feels. It's a movie with soft feels.
It's a movie it shouldn't be as good as it is. It just shouldn't. Like, it's, for some reason, so good. You wouldn't think it would be.
All right, well, how would you rate this movie?
I don't know. It's just a good movie. Like, I don't know how to rate it.
You want to use my scale of cats?
No, I'm not going to use your scale of cats. But I feel like I can't give it a 10 out of 10, even though I've just constantly described it as like a genuinely good movie. I think it's definitely worth it. I think it's a movie that if you haven't seen the first one, you should watch both of them. They're just, if you're feeling down, watch Paddington and Paddington 2.
Yeah. So you're not going to rate it at all?
That was my rating. It was watch it. That's how I rate. It's either watch it or don't watch it, and Paddington gets a watch it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to rate it as a munchkin cat.
Helpless and lovable.
Yeah, we have a munchkin cat. He doesn't have short legs. He's a non-standard munchkin cat, but he is still a purebred, and like he came from a litter where almost all of his brothers and sisters had short legs. So we're very familiar with their demeanor, and I don't know. Our cat, he has regular sized legs, but he is the most helpless baby of a cat. But somehow he is so loving and charming and lovable. Like,
he's very Paddington.
He's very Paddington. Not polite though, my goodness.
Big asshole.
Like big baby, like just constantly crying for help. He's like 3, almost 4 now. Like, he's not a baby. He's not a kitten. He's not in kitten years, but he still acts like it. And I don't think he'll ever outgrow it.
So you'd rate this movie 1 Gregory?
It's a munchkin. That's the rating on cats. It is. I go by breeds. It's a munchkin cat. A good cat, solid cat. Would recommend if you were looking into buying a new cat to get a munchkin cat. Also Gregory, softest hair. It's like he's like a cat with chinchilla hair. It's amazing. So it's so soft.
So all in all, watch Paddington. Watch Paddington 2.
Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're curious about the picture, check out our Instagram or watch the speed draw.
Yeah, the speed draw on YouTube. There'll be links to all this stuff
in the comments.
Not in the comments, but in the description.
We could comment and put it in the comments.
You comment that. It'll be in the description, but you comment that.
Yeah, I'll comment that.
And that's that.
Have a great night or morning or afternoon, whatever time of day it is.